Hi guys, my name is David and today I am going to be doing my March and April wrap up for 2024. I read a lot of things, as you can tell by the thumbnail. I only took two variations of the thumbnail because holding these books up was a bit of a challenge and a pain in the arse. So you can see how much stuff I read in that time frame. So yeah, with all that out of the way, let's just get straight on to what I read in March. This is all going to be in order, guys, and this is going to be my own thoughts and feelings. Don't know why I always have to keep on saying that's my thoughts and feelings. I suppose it's because some people may get offended that I gave a book a lower or a higher score than they think it deserved. But it's just my own thoughts and feelings, and I have to keep on reminding people about that. So anyway, what I first read in March was Coraline by Neil Gaiman. I got this book off of eBay, and I got the movie, which I hadn't actually watched at that time anyway, and I thought it would be kind of a self-core experiment to read the book first and watch the movie and compare them mentally and to see how they match up with each other and to see what I ultimately thought. The storylines in both books are more or less identical, but I think I prefer the book a little bit more. Um, as a whole, it's a okay book. Um, I find that Neil Gaiman for me is the biggest mystery of all when it comes to authors. Some of his stuff I like, but the majority of his stuff I think is okay. Like Stardust and Neverwhere, I just thought that they were okay books. And same with Coraline, about a young girl that feels kind of neglected by her family and finds this alternate universe or parallel universe of some sort with where her life seems better and her family life seems better. But I like this book for what it was. I don't think I'm going to be holding on to it. I think I'm going to be passing this one on. And I rated this one a 4 stars out of 5. The next thing that I read was a advanced reader copy that I was sent from a author, and that was The Moor by Sean Barber. This was an art copy that I was specifically sent on my Kindle before the book was actually released to the public. So that was really cool to read something that only a small handful of people would have been able to read before it was originally released. And this is about a group of teenagers that hang around this abandoned mall. And then one day, this giant mouth appears on the side of it, growing out of the building. And when they investigate, one of the kids mysteriously goes missing within this mouth, which follows a court trial um, and all these conspiracy things about it. This isn't a novel, this isn't a novella, this is a short story, something that you can read really, really quickly. And I really enjoyed it. It doesn't really give you all the answers, if any. Um, so if you are one of these readers which has to know everything and how everything's all connected, and you don't like any mystery whatsoever in your books, especially horror, then I would probably steer clear away from this one. But I enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun reading it, and I highly recommend it to anyone, especially if you're into horror. So I rated that one a 5 stars. The next thing that I read was a book by or about Ed Gein that was actually written by Judge Robert H. Goldmer, one of the men that um, convicted or tried Ed Gein in a court of law. This is a really interesting book. Um, if you know a lot about Ed Gein and you don't know where to start with his books about him, then I would definitely recommend this one. I got this one off of eBay. It did cost a bit I mean a bit more than I would have liked, but I was inspired by Bad is Rad, who expressed wanting to read books about these individuals. So going into this, I knew exactly what it did. I'm not going to say it on here because I don't want to get into trouble. Um, watch videos on YouTube about the guy, but he's the most twisted individual that I ever have actually ever read about or been aware about, apart from obviously Jack the Ripper coming from the UK. But this is about kind of half of it is like about what happened in the courtroom and the kind of law side of it, and the other half is like it has to like build up about what actually happened and about the two victims that Ed committed. He doesn't say much about his brother, who I know for well, I don't know for a fact because it's kind of speculation, but I know deep down that he yeah he did something too in that field. I will say as well that if you do choose to get this book and you see it, you see how on Ed Keen's name it has all this like worn off effect. Don't think that the paint or the print has come off. It's just part of the design of the name. I don't know why, but yeah, this one I enjoyed. I was going to give it a 5 stars. I could give it a 5 stars. It deserves it. But out of respect to Bernice Warden and Mary Hogan, I am going to give it a 4 stars out of 5. Next I read was a poetry book by Regina St. Clair called Remembering the Dead. As soon as I heard about this book, I had to go on Amazon and buy a physical copy of it. This is a book about horror poetry, and it does have a short story at the back, which is okay. The poetry is okay. You could read it all in like one day or whatever. You could read the whole thing in one day. It's really short. Not Regina's best thing. I liked her Code Red book, and I am going to be reading Carney in May. I nearly forgot what month it was for next month, which I am super excited for. I know that Regina's novels I think, are going to be better for me because they are longer and I can spend more time with the characters rather than short stuff, which is kind of hit and miss. I would love to read more of her poetry, but it was simply okay. I'm probably going to be enjoying this a lot more on rereads, but first time reading it, I'm going to give it a 3 stars. Next thing that I read was a Western that I was inspired by Faceless Review or Faceless Reviews. I think that's what his channel was called. Who was a massive Western fan. I've never read a Western, so I said, look, I'll read a Western and see what I think about it. I don't have it anymore. I probably got rid of it. But it was called the Arizona Climax, and it was a good experiment. I won't go super in depth about it. If you want to know my thoughts more, my videos on my channel or the videos on my channel. But I liked it. I'm gonna be reading a bit more Westerns. I've got one more book in my room. I will be reading more, but not in a super rush to do so. But I give that one a 3 stars out of 5. Next was another poetry book called Thorns of My Heart by D.L. Tillery. This is as I said, a poetry collection about dark romance. This isn't all lovey-dovey, happily ever after stuff, guys. This is the more darker side of romance, like the toxic kind, like obsession and all that stuff. It's really good. It does have 100 poems in it. Yeah, 100 poems in it. I enjoyed probably about 90% of them. It is a bit repetitive, reading 100 poems about dark romance or romance. I would have liked it if it was a bit more variety. Like the thorns in the heart could have, each thorn could have represented something that annoyed or the author, or she didn't like within our society or something like that. That way it would have been a bit more diverse and different. rather than reading 100 poems, pretty much the same topic. But I enjoyed it. It was really good. I enjoyed it immensely, and I give it a 4 stars out of 5. Sorry guys, I've got to be quick with this video. Next was a manga by Junji Ito called Venus in the Blind Spot. This was a really good book. Can't remember much about it, but I enjoyed it because it's Junji Ito. What isn't there to like? Some of the artwork there. If you are, I mean, I've said this before and I'm just going to say it again every single time I bring up this dude. If you are a horror fan and you haven't read manga, pick up one of his stuff. You won't be disappointed. No matter what you pick up and read from him, he is excellent. He is so good at what he does. And yeah, I rated this one a 5 stars out of 5. The next thing that I read in March was another Neil Gaiman book called Fortunately the Milk. I picked this one up on a whim. I liked the cover. I knew pretty much what it was about, but I thought, okay, I'll pick it up and give it a read. I wasn't expecting to like it. I thought it was going to be okay, tick it off my list or whatever, and pass it on. But who knew that this is my favourite Neil Gaiman book so far? This is about a man whose wife goes out to work, and he's left with his 2 children, a boy and a girl, and they need milk because they don't have any milk for their cereal, and he doesn't have any milk for his tea. So he goes out and gets some, and he comes across all these like strange stuff. Like there's a dinosaur that talks that's in a air balloon. He comes across vampires. He comes across this ancient ancient tomb or whatever with these people doing sacrifices. He comes across pirates. There's time travel in this book. There's dinosaurs. There's all these like weird gnomes with plants on their head or plant pots on their head. And this book is completely insane and bonkers, and I love it so much. It has all these pictures in it which are done by Chris Riddle, who is a massive plus for me. If I see a book that's got Chris's artwork in it, it's automatically going to be in my hand and I'm going to buy it. But if you read Douglas Adams' Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, then you'll love this book. If you like that book, then you'll like this book. In fact, I would recommend that you read that book and read this book afterwards, as it has the same feel to it. So I like this book so much, I'm going to keep it on my bookshelf, and I give it a 5 stars. The last thing I read in March was a book called The Curse of the Frog Prince Part 2 by Madame Crystal Butterfly. This is a continuation, obviously, from book 1, and it's kind of a adult dark twist on the Princess and the Frog story, where a princess has been turned into a frog and by this prince, and there's a conspiracy about all these like dark magic items that she has to try to uncover and solve the mystery about who's trying to get all these artifacts to rule the world and all that stuff. It's really good. I actually liked it. Not the best thing that I read. It's one that you have to read probably book 1 and then book 2 afterwards, because there was a kind of a break in the connection with me getting back into this magical world and getting back to these characters and getting used to them again. And I know there's part 3 coming out at one point, so when that does come out, I will be reading it, but I will be reading book 1 and then book 2 closely to the release date of part 3. But I rated that one a 3 stars. So let's, I bet this video is going to be super ass long for me to edit. So let's just go on to April now. In March, I got my Abominable Book Club box, and I said that everything in that box was going to be my main TBR, or my TBR for April. Yes and no, it was. Yeah, yes it was, but I read other stuff. One thing that I got in that box that I started to read a little bit of it, I think got about 50 pages into it, and I DNF'd it because I wasn't connecting with it that well. And that was A Good House for Children by Kate Collins. Not a terrible book, but I wasn't really connecting that much with it, so I DNF'd it. I'm going to put it to one side and put it in for a giveaway that I'll be doing at one point. So as quickly as I possibly can, what did I read in April? The first thing I read in April was Boy, Tales of Childhood by Roald Dahl. This is a non-fiction book about Roald Dahl's life growing up. From a baby to the age of 13 or 14. You don't have to know anything about Roald Dahl in order to enjoy this book. But it was interesting to read about his life, and yeah, I enjoyed it so much. I give it a 5 stars. I was in kind of a Roald Dahl mood in April for some reason. I think I've got like a fascination about reading horror children's books or classic children's books, probably because I was old school April. The next thing that I read was also Roald Dahl, and that was The Twits, about these this gentleman and lady who are absolutely disgusting and repulsive, who like put glue on trees to trap birds and have all these monkeys stand on their heads for some unknown reason. And this was a short, charming book, and yeah, it was a lot of fun. I'm surprised I had never read this as a child, but I rated this a 4 stars. Next thing that I read was one of the books from my Abominable Book Club box, and that was Black Sheep by Rachel Harrison, about a woman that was once in this religious cult who worshipped Satan, and one day she gets a wedding invitation to go back, and she uncovers why that is, and yeah, literally all hell breaks loose, and yeah, it's really good, really fun, quick read. Can't wait to read more from Rachel, and yeah, not going to read this again, probably going to pass this one on, but I rated this a 4 stars out of 5. Next thing that I read was another Roald Dahl book called Fantastic Mr. Fox, about a fox that outwits these 3 farmers that all want to kill him, and yeah, it was a nice book. Be interesting to see what vegans have to say about this one, but it was a lot of fun. I rated this one a 4 stars. Next thing I got was a graphic novel about Alice in Wonderland, and this one is called Hatter H, The Looking Glass Wars, Volume 1. I got this one because I liked the cover, and I thought it would be like a nice dark take on the whole Alice in Wonderland story. You don't have to know anything about Alice in Wonderland in order to understand it. But basically, Hatter is an assassin whose hat he can throw, and it turns into these spinning blades, and he has all these like knives and weapons at his disposal, and he's trying to find this lost princess from his version of Wonderland. So it was really fun, and not sure if I'm going to be going on to the other ones in the series. If I can find them, I'll find them in the wild if I can, but it was fine. I rated this one a 4 stars. Next thing was another Roald Dahl book called George's Marvelous Medicine, about a boy who is taking care of his grandmother, who is really horrible and mean and grumpy, and he decides to get rid of her medicine and to mix up all this stuff within his house, everything, all these disgusting things that he can give his grandmother, and to try to trick her into taking it. And yeah, it's really disgusting and horrible and very weird. And I didn't really gel with this one a lot. I thought that George was a very cool individual that was giving his grandmother all this weird stuff. I mean, antifreeze is in this potion or this medicine, petrol and all this type of stuff. Yeah, it was okay. Not the best by Roald Dahl in my opinion, but I rated this a 3 stars. Hopefully this video is not going to be too long for me to edit, so give me any trouble. Next is a Goosebumps book called Welcome to Dead House. This is the first book in the Goosebumps series. I thought that I was out of touch, or Roald Dahl was a bit too childish for me, and the nostalgia worn off. But this reminded me that I still enjoy his stuff, and it's about a family that move into this old house, and the kids are experiencing all these ghosts and spooky stuff happening in their house and within their town. And yeah, I enjoyed this one. I've got some other Goosebumps books in my room, so I can't wait to get to that. I rated this one a 4 stars. Next was Esochot, probably said it wrong, about a man who is in love with a woman downstairs in his flat who has these turtles, and she wants her turtle to get bigger, so he buys all these turtles at all these different pet shops, and he tricks her by giving her a slightly bigger turtle each and every single few weeks or so. And it's very charming, very simple, and it was a cute read. This one I rated a 4 stars. Next thing I read was a author request book that I'm going to be doing a video for, and that was Chesapeake Bay Monsters by Pete Kramer. Not going to say anything about this book because I'm going to be doing a video on it. Really good book, really enjoyed it. Although the ending was kind of so-so, but I rated it a 3 stars. Next thing I read was a library book that I returned today. I'm going to be putting a picture up on the screen. This was a book called Printer's Devil Court by Susan Hill. I'm going to be doing a video on this, so I'll be talking about it a bit more. I really enjoyed this book so much. I really did. And I'm going to give it a 5 stars. And the thing that I am currently reading, but I'm going to be finishing this one off today, and that was Murder House by James Patterson and David Ellis. This is really good. The last thing I got in my March box from the Bumble Book Club box. I don't know what I'm going to rate this because I haven't finished it. Got about 40-ish pages to go. But yeah, I'll be doing a video on this one as well. So that's been my video, guys. Sorry if I sped up a little bit. I just wanted to get this video done. Hopefully it isn't going to be too much of a pain for me to edit this. But yeah, hopefully you enjoyed it. Let me know if you've read any of these books. Let me know what did you think about them. And yeah, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in my next one.